Man disguises himself to test his girlfriend's loyalty. What he discovers breaks his heart and changes everything. Elias stood on the bustling streets of Seattle, rain pouring down in steady sheets. The city felt alive around him, yet he felt trapped in his own thoughts. He watched as people rushed by, umbrellas blooming like flowers against the gray sky. Among them was Kira, her laughter ringing like music that only he could hear. But today, he wasn't there to join her. Today, he was there to mask himself, to become someone else entirely. "I need to know," he muttered under his breath, adjusting the paint-splattered cap he had put on. The idea of disguising himself as a street artist filled him with a mix of excitement and dread. He hoped that by blending into the vibrant scene, he could observe Kira without her noticing. The thought of her possibly being unfaithful gnawed at him, a dark cloud overshadowing his heart. What if she's not who I think she is? The streets of Seattle were a canvas for many artists, but Elias felt like an imposter. He set up his space near Pike Place Market, the smell of fresh flowers mixing with the earthy scent of rain. As he splashed paint on a blank canvas, he tried to convince himself that this experiment would bring him clarity. "This is just temporary," he whispered, trying to drown out his insecurities. "I'll figure it out." With each stroke of his brush, he caught glimpses of Kira's vibrant spirit as she moved through the crowd. She was radiant, her smile lighting up the dreary day. But his heart sank as he noticed Alex, a fellow artist, effortlessly drawing her attention. They stood close, their voices mingling as they shared jokes that made her laugh more freely than she did with him. Elias's stomach twisted. Why does he get to see that side of her? "Looks like you're losing your touch, Elias," he thought, his brush pausing mid-stroke. What can you offer her that he can't? Each interaction between Kira and Alex felt like a jab to his heart. The vibrant art that surrounded him became a blur, overshadowed by his growing jealousy. Suddenly, Kira turned and caught his eye. For a moment, the world around them faded, and it felt as if time stood still. "Is that you, Elias?" she called, her voice bright and cheerful. But he quickly looked away, feigning concentration on his painting. "Just keep painting," he told himself. "Stay hidden." As the hours passed, the rain continued to fall, drenching the street performers and the audience alike. Elias painted with fervor, trying to escape the turmoil inside him. But every laugh from Kira and every glance she shared with Alex drew him deeper into a spiral of doubt. What if she really is better off with him? The day wore on, and Elias felt the weight of his disguise pressing down on him. He watched Kira interact with others, her laughter echoing in his ears like a haunting melody. The more he observed, the more conflicted he became. He was supposed to be gathering information, but instead, he was losing himself in a sea of emotions. At one point, Kira and Alex stepped away from the crowd, their voices low and serious. Elias leaned in closer, his heart racing. He couldn't hear their words, but their body language spoke volumes. Kira's brow furrowed, and Alex's expression was earnest. What are they talking about? Elias wondered, a knot tightening in his chest. As the sky darkened, Elias felt the storm brewing within him. Is this why I'm here? He pondered, his hands shaking slightly as he painted. To watch my worst fears come to life. The thought was unbearable, yet he felt drawn to this painful truth, as if it would somehow set him free. With each passing moment, Elias became more entangled in his web of jealousy and uncertainty. He had wanted to know the truth about Kira, but all he found was the truth about himself, his fears, his insecurities, and the realization that he might lose the one person he cared about the most. The rain continued to fall, washing away the colors of the day, but Elias felt stuck in the shadows, trapped in a disguise that was starting to feel all too real. Elias found himself standing in the shadows of a bustling Seattle street, where colors danced in the rain-soaked air. Each day, he watched Kira from a distance, her laughter ringing out like music as she interacted with friends and strangers alike. She had an energy that seemed to light up the world around her. As he painted a mural on the brick wall, he couldn't help but steal glances at her, his heart both lifted and weighed down by uncertainty. "Look at her," he whispered to himself, his brush moving mechanically as he tried to focus on his art. "Why can't I be like that? Why can't I just talk to her?" The vibrant strokes of paint blurred in front of his eyes as he recalled moments from his past. He remembered Sarah, the girl who once held his heart. They had shared dreams and laughter until betrayal shattered everything. "You're too jealous, Elias," she had told him, her voice echoing in his mind. "You'll never trust me." The memory still stung, leaving him with an ache that never seemed to fade. As days turned into weeks, Elias's observations of Kira became more intense. He watched her interact with Alex, a fellow artist with a magnetic charm. They often shared ideas, their voices rising in excitement over the beauty of art. Elias felt a knot tighten in his stomach each time he heard Kira laugh at something Alex said. "Did you see that?" Kira exclaimed one afternoon, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "Alex just painted this incredible piece. It's so full of life." "Yeah, it's nice," Elias muttered under his breath, feeling a wave of jealousy wash over him. What could he offer her that Alex could not? He was just a street artist playing dress-up, while Alex was the real deal, a star on the rise. One evening, he observed them sitting on a bench, deep in conversation. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow around them. Kira leaned in closer to Alex, her expression serious. "I just don't know if I'm good enough," she confessed, her voice barely above a whisper. "Sometimes I feel like I'm not reaching my potential." Elias's heart sank at her words. He wanted to shout to her that she was more than enough, that her art could touch souls. But he remained silent, hidden behind the mask of his street artist persona. "What do you mean?" Alex asked, concern etched on his face. "You have a gift, Kira. You just need to believe in yourself." Kira sighed, running a hand through her hair. "It's just hard. I see everyone else thriving, and I feel like I'm standing still." Elias clenched his fists, feeling the weight of her doubt press down on him. He wanted to tell her that he believed in her, but the words stuck in his throat. Instead, he painted furiously, each stroke driven by his frustration and longing. As night fell, Elias watched Kira and Alex share a quiet moment, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of street lamps. They laughed, and Elias felt an ache in his chest. "I can't keep doing this," he whispered to himself, his voice barely audible over the distant sounds of the city. "I need to know the truth. I need to know how she really feels." But that night, as he returned to his small apartment, Elias felt more isolated than ever. He tossed and turned, haunted by the images of Kira and Alex together. The shadows in his mind grew darker, and he questioned everything about himself. In the stillness of the night, he thought of Sarah's words, and the scars of the past felt fresh again. The fear of losing Kira gnawed at him. "What if I'm not enough for her?" he thought, staring at the ceiling. "What if I push her away?" His heart raced with confusion and despair. Each day brought more uncertainty, and with each encounter between Kira and Alex, he felt himself slipping further away from the person he wanted to be. As he lay in bed, Elias realized that he needed to confront his fears, but the thought of facing Kira's truth terrified him. Would she ever see him as more than just a street artist? Would he ever find the courage to reveal his true self? The rain began to fall outside, tapping gently against the window, a reminder of the emotional storm brewing within him. As Elias closed his eyes, he knew that he stood at a crossroads, one that could define the course of his relationship with Kira forever. As the weeks passed, Elias found himself spiraling deeper into his obsession with Kira. Every day, he watched her from the shadows, attending events where she showcased her art. Each brushstroke she made, each laugh she shared with friends, felt like a dagger to his heart. He could not shake the feeling that he was losing her, and yet he could not bring himself to step into the light and confront her. Kira's struggles in the artistic world weighed heavily on her. Although she appeared vibrant and confident, Elias noticed the small cracks in her facade. He watched her at an art gallery opening where she stood beside her painting, her smile bright, but her eyes dimmed with doubt. The crowd admired her work, but he could see that she craved more than compliments. She wanted genuine support. "Do you really think this is good?" Kira asked Alex, her voice barely above a whisper. She turned to him, her brows furrowed. I don't know if I belong here. Everyone else seems so much more talented." "You belong just as much as anyone else," Alex replied, his tone reassuring. "You have a gift, Kira. People connect with your art. Just look at them over there. They can't take their eyes off your piece." Elias clenched his fists, feeling a mix of jealousy and sadness. He wanted to step forward, to tell her how much he believed in her, but all he could do was watch. Kira's eyes sparkled with gratitude towards Alex, and that simple moment twisted a knife in Elias's heart. That night, as the rain poured down outside, Elias sat in his small apartment, the shadows feeling heavier than usual. He replayed the evening in his mind, tormenting himself with thoughts of Kira and Alex. The more he watched, the more he felt like an intruder in Kira's life. Then came the pivotal moment. While at another art show, Elias found himself standing too close to Kira and Alex. He could not help but overhear their conversation. "Sometimes, I just feel so lost," Kira admitted, her voice trembling. "I love Elias, but I'm scared. What if I'm not good enough for him? What if he finds someone better?" Elias's heart sank. Those words pierced through him like a sharp blade. He had been so wrapped up in his own fears that he had not considered hers. He felt a wave of despair wash over him. Was he truly testing her loyalty, or was he the one sabotaging what they had? That night, Elias lay awake, consumed by turmoil. He questioned everything he had done. "What have I become?" he whispered to the empty room. "Am I really the man I thought I was?" In the darkness, he felt the weight of his actions. He realized that by hiding, he was pushing Kira away. Instead of protecting their love, he was endangering it. He thought about the moments they shared, the laughter, the dreams, and the love that seemed to fade with his silence. Elias knew he had to make a choice. He could continue to lurk in the shadows, allowing his insecurities to dictate his actions, or he could confront Kira, reveal himself, and risk everything. The next day, he wandered the streets of Seattle, the rain falling softly around him. Each droplet felt like a reminder of his doubts. He passed by the gallery where Kira had exhibited her work. He stood outside for a moment, watching people admire her art. "She deserves to know the truth," he told himself, gathering his courage. But the fear of rejection loomed larger than ever. What if Kira didn't want him back? What if his insecurities pushed her further away? Elias took a deep breath, feeling the cold rain on his skin. He had to decide. Would he continue to let his fears control him, or would he take a step into the light and face the reality of his situation? In that moment, he realized that love was not just about loyalty, it was also about honesty and vulnerability. And maybe, just maybe, it was time to stop hiding behind the mask he had created. The storm roared outside, heavy rain drumming against the pavement, a fitting backdrop for the turmoil within Elias. He stood hidden in the shadows, his heart racing as he listened to Kira speak to Alex beneath the flickering streetlights. The soft glow illuminated their faces, and Elias felt every word cut deep into his chest. "I just don't know if I can keep this up," Kira admitted, her voice trembling slightly. "Sometimes, I feel like I'm not enough for him. It's like I'm always waiting for him to leave." Elias's breath hitched in his throat. He had spent weeks watching Kira, convinced that she might find something in Alex that she could not find in him. But hearing her words pierced through the fog of his doubts. Did she really feel that way? Had he misjudged her all along? Alex, sensing her distress, reached out to her. "Kira, you mean so much to him." I've seen how he looks at you. He loves you, even if he struggles to show it sometimes." Elias clenched his fists as Alex's words echoed in his mind. Love. That was the very thing he had doubted. He had let his insecurities blind him to Kira's true feelings. The realization hit him hard, pushing aside the jealousy that had consumed him for so long. Kira had never stopped loving him. "I wish I could see that," Kira sighed, looking down at the ground. "I just feel so lost sometimes. The art world is so competitive, and I worry that I can't pull him back from the edge." Elias stepped back, feeling the weight of the storm press down on him. He could no longer hide in the shadows. His heart raced, torn between revealing himself and escaping back into his disguise. But could he really remain hidden after hearing her pain? As if sensing his inner turmoil, the wind howled, almost urging him to make a choice. He took a deep breath, gathering his courage. He had to confront the truth, not just for himself, but for Kira. Staying silent would only deepen the divide between them. In a moment of clarity, Elias stepped out from the shadows, the rain soaking his clothes instantly. "Kira!" he called, his voice cutting through the noise of the storm. Both Kira and Alex turned in shock. Kira's eyes widened, and her hand flew to her mouth. "Elias," she whispered, disbelief etched across her face. "What are you doing here?" Alex asked, stepping protectively in front of Kira. Elias held up a hand, his heart pounding against his chest. "I need to talk to Kira, alone." Kira looked between them, confusion swirling in her gaze. "Elias, what's going on? Why are you—" "Please just let me explain," Elias interrupted, stepping closer. The rain streamed down his face, mingling with the tears he had fought to hold back. "I've been watching you, and I've been hiding. I thought I could figure things out without facing you." Kira's brow furrowed, hurt flickering in her eyes. "You were spying on me?" "I was afraid," Elias admitted, his voice trembling. "Afraid that you might not love me anymore. I thought if I kept my distance, it would be easier. But it only made things worse." Kira shook her head, tears forming in her eyes. "Elias, you don't understand. I've felt so alone. I didn't know how to reach you or tell you what I was feeling." "I know," he said, stepping even closer, his heart aching for her. "I've misjudged everything. I should have trusted you. I should have faced my fears instead of hiding from them." The rain poured down harder, but for a moment, it felt like a cleansing storm, washing away their misunderstandings. Elias reached out, gently taking Kira's hands in his. "I love you, Kira. I never stopped. I just let my insecurities blind me." Kira's eyes searched his, vulnerability mixing with hope. "Elias, I love you too. But we need to talk about this. We can't let fear come between us anymore." As they stood together in the rain, feeling the weight of their feelings and revelations, Elias knew they were at a crossroads. It was time to confront the truth, to let go of the masks they had both worn. Together, they would face whatever came next. Elias stood in the shadows of the alley, his heart racing as he prepared to confront Kira. The rain drizzled down, washing away the remnants of his disguise. Each drop felt like a reminder of the lies he had woven around himself. He took a deep breath, feeling the weight of his decision press heavily on his chest. No more hiding, no more masks. With each step forward, Elias could hear the muffled sounds of laughter and conversation from the nearby cafe, where Kira often spent her evenings. He paused for a moment, thinking of all the times he had watched her from afar, seeing her light shine brightly among the crowd. But now, he needed her to see him, truly see him. As he entered the cafe, the warmth enveloped him, contrasting sharply with the chill of the rain outside. He spotted Kira at a corner table, her vibrant red hair catching the light. She was animatedly talking to Alex, her hands moving expressively as she shared her latest art piece. Elias felt a pang of jealousy, but he pushed it aside. This was not about Alex. This was about honesty. "Hey, Kira," Elias said, his voice steadier than he felt. She turned, her eyes widening in surprise. "Elias?" Kira's expression shifted from surprise to confusion. "What are you doing here?" He took a seat across from her, feeling the weight of her gaze. "I need to talk to you. There's something I've kept hidden, something I can't hide anymore." Kira frowned, glancing at Alex for support. "What do you mean? What's going on?" Elias took a deep breath, his heart pounding. "I've been watching you, Kira. I disguised myself as a street artist. I wanted to see how you felt about me without me being there, without my influence." Kira's eyes widened further, hurt flashing across her face. "You what? Why would you do that?" "I thought it would give me clarity. I was scared, Kira. Scared of losing you. I let my insecurities take control," he admitted, his voice trembling. Kira crossed her arms, her expression a mix of anger and pain. "So you chose to lie to me? To hide from me? I can't believe you would do this. I thought we had something real." "I know how it sounds," Elias said quickly, desperation lacing his words. "But I was lost. I thought if I saw you with someone else, it would help me understand your feelings. Instead, it just made everything worse." "Worse?" Kira echoed, her voice rising. "You have no idea how hurtful this is. I trusted you, Elias. I opened up to you, and you were just pretending?" "I know," Elias replied, his throat tightening. "And I'm so sorry. I never meant to hurt you. I just needed to know if you still cared. I was afraid that you might love someone else." Kira looked away, her jaw set in frustration. "You should have talked to me. We could have faced this together. Instead, you chose to spy on me. How is that love?" Elias felt a wave of shame wash over him. "You're right. I was selfish. I didn't trust you, and I let my fears get the best of me. I want to change that. I want to be open with you." Kira's expression softened slightly, but her hurt was still evident. "It's not that simple, Elias. Trust is built over time, and you've shattered that trust." "I understand," Elias said, his voice low. "But I want to rebuild it. I want to show you that I can be honest. I can be vulnerable, just like you were with me." Kira looked back at him, searching his eyes for sincerity. "It's going to take time, Elias. You need to understand that I feel confused and hurt right now. I don't know if I can just forgive and forget." "I don't expect you to," he replied, his heart heavy. "But I'm here. I'm ready to talk, to listen. I want us to work through this together." Silence hung between them, the weight of their emotions filling the space. After what felt like an eternity, Kira sighed, the tension in her shoulders easing a little. "Okay, I'm willing to talk, but it's going to be a long road." Elias nodded, a flicker of hope igniting within him. "I'll walk that road with you, Kira, I promise." As they began to discuss their feelings and fears, the rain outside began to lighten, a soft patter that felt almost like a gentle promise of renewal. It was a small step, but it was one they would take together. In the days that followed their emotional confrontation, the atmosphere between Elias and Kira shifted. The rain, which once fell as a heavy blanket of despair, now drizzled softly, creating a soothing rhythm on the streets of Seattle. Each drop seemed to wash away the misunderstandings that had clouded their hearts. They found themselves at a small cafe, the warmth inside contrasting with the cool, refreshing air outside. "Can we really start over?" Kira asked, her voice barely above a whisper as she stirred her coffee. Her eyes searched Elias's face, looking for reassurance. Elias nodded, his heart racing. "I want to. I'm ready to be honest with you, Kira. No more masks." He took a deep breath. "I've been so caught up in my own fears that I forgot to listen to you." Kira smiled softly, the corners of her lips lifting just enough to show she was willing to try. "I've been scared too. I thought maybe I wasn't enough. I saw you watching me, and it felt like you didn't trust me." The weight of her words hung in the air between them. Elias reached across the table, taking her hand in his. "I'm sorry for that. I should have trusted you. I should have talked to you instead of hiding." Kira squeezed his hand, her grip firm, yet gentle. I want to share everything with you, my fears, my dreams. I don't want to hide anymore either. As they talked, they began to peel back the layers of their pasts. Kira shared her struggles in the art world, how each rejection felt like a personal failure. Sometimes I think I'm not good enough to be an artist. I worry that people won't see my work for what it is, she confessed, her voice trembling slightly. Elias listened intently. You are so talented, Kira. I've seen your art bring joy to so many people. It's beautiful because it's genuine, just like you. Her cheeks flushed at his words, but she pressed on. And what about you? What are your fears? Elias hesitated for a moment, unsure of how to reveal the depths of his insecurities. I worry that I can't be the man you need. I let my jealousy cloud my judgment. I thought that if I watched you, I could figure it all out, but I only made things worse. Kira nodded, understanding dawning in her eyes. Elias, we both have things we need to work on. I don't want us to just avoid the tough stuff. I want us to face it together. The rain outside began to pick up, tapping a lively rhythm against the window, mirroring their growing connection. Elias felt a surge of hope. Instead of letting our pasts pull us apart, let's use them to grow closer. We can support each other. I'd like that, Kira replied, her smile widening. Let's promise to be open, even when it's hard. They both took a moment to soak in the significance of that promise. With a newfound commitment, they began to share their aspirations. Kira spoke of her dream to hold a gallery show, to show the world her art. I want to create pieces that speak to people, that make them feel something, she said, her eyes sparkling with passion. Elias felt inspired by her words, and I want to find a way to channel my creativity too. Maybe I can help you with your show. We can work on it together. Kira's smile grew even brighter. Really? You'd help me? Of course. I want to be there for you, just like you're there for me, he replied, squeezing her hand once more. As they planned together, laughter filled the cafe. The weight of isolation they once felt began to lift, replaced by the warmth of companionship. Outside, the rain transformed into a gentle shower, each droplet a reminder of their commitment to each other. In that moment, Elias realized that love was not just about loyalty. It was about understanding, empathy, and accepting each other's imperfections. As they left the cafe, hand in hand, the world felt brighter, filled with endless possibilities. They had stepped into a new beginning, one where they could face their fears together, unmasked and ready for whatever lay ahead. Share this story if you believe that love can conquer even the toughest challenges. Let us know in the comments how a heartfelt conversation has changed your life, and subscribe to the channel for more inspiring tales like this one.